everyone. My name is Michael Sechen and I'm your podcast host. This is the Priceless Podcast. It is made in partnership with the European Forum of LGBT Christian Groups, and it's also part of the Let Us Be Heard series sponsored by HMS. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, you can visit our webpage, and of course you can find all the necessary links in the podcast description, not just for the podcast, but also connected to my guest today. So let's go to our guest. Today with me, I have the big honor to welcome Small Look. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you're welcome.
From Hong Kong?
Yeah, from Hong Kong.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the topic of intersex. Small Look is a social worker, and she's a Chinese medicine practitioner, which I found very, very interesting. And you have a master's in gender study, as much as I understood. And you are a huge activist and also lobbyist at the United Nations for intersex people. So welcome and thank you so much for being here and being willing to talk about this important issue.
Thanks so much for your invitations.
So I introduced you a little bit. Is there something else you would like to say about yourself that you would like our viewers and listeners to know about you?
At the first, let me to make definitions about the terms intersex.
Yes.
This term comes from the United Nations. Is being used to describe a group of people. They born with the sex characteristics is not fit to the typical binary of the male and the female body. So it is two things we need to take in mind. The first one, we born with. We cannot refuse to be in an intersex people. And maybe you cannot choose to be in an intersex people because you didn't born with. And the second thing is about we are not talking about the gender issue. We are talking about the sex, the biological status. So we are talking about the sex characteristics, about the genitals, about the granules, about our chromosome patterns. So it is totally talking about the biological structure, status. It is not about you want your gender to be an intersex. It is not it.
Yeah.
So this is the definitions. We need to make it clear to avoid any confuse to the other non-binary people or the confused with other trans people. Yes, we are the friends. We are our partnership to fighting the right, but we need to know we are totally different. About my story, when I born, the doctor cannot at once to find out I'm a boy or a girl because my genitals do not look like a boy or actually do look like a girl. So they feel confused. But I was the firstborn baby in my family, and I born in a very grassroots Chinese family. Under the Chinese culture, they rarely want the firstborn baby is a boy. They don't want a girl. So if I born with a middle of the gender, of the sex, so they ask the doctor, can my baby be a boy? And the doctor say, this baby have a very small penis, look like a penis, but my urine tip was not inside. So they say, yes, you can make it to be a boy. So and then the doctor signed the birth certificate to me as a boy, and then they say, this is a boy, but an illness boy. And then until I was 8 years old, this time the doctor come to my family and told my parents, we now have the talent. We can try to help your baby to modify the genital to be a perfect male. And then they bring me to the hospital since my 8 years old until 13 years old. In the 5 years, they help me to modify my genital to make they want to make the functional penis because they want me grow up to be a man and can have a wife, to have next generations, to continue our generations. So they try to make a penis.
Yeah.
And at the first, my penis is too small. They try to make more bigger, more longer. So they cut another skin to press on it and sew it back. And they try to remodify the urine into my penis. But in that 5 years, over 20 times genital surgeries, they cannot make it better. They make it more worse. Before the surgeries, I have one urine outlet. But after that 5 years, I have 3 outlets. So when I go to the toilet, or when I went to the toilet, it's like a spearhead.
Yeah.
I don't know how to leave it. So at the final, when I was about 13 years old, I refused to go to the hospital again. It made me too suffering, and my health status was too damaged. And then I tried to fit on the expectation of my parents. I learned how to be a man. I performed as a man. And then I got a girlfriend, and I told her all my things, all my stories. She also fell in love with me, and then we get married. And then when I was 36 years old, in a trance of a medical check on my body, the doctor found that I have the uterus and vagina inside my body. They didn't well develop. They keep in my body. And then about 2 years later, another doctor they asked me, hey, small, why you still keep your male part? Because they think the outer figure is the male genital part, the inner part is the female part. But they think, in their experience, my type of intersex, if I keep my male part, it may be more easy to get the cancer. So they asked me, why don't you think about to cut out all your male part to keep your health? So, and then I go back to discuss with my wife. She said, well, you need to do that to keep your health. So, and then I cut out all my male parts. At this time, not at this time, I think in most of the country now also just have the male and female 2 category in the ID system. So when I lost all my male parts, the government, they just asked me, you need to change your ID to female. So, and then now I hold the female ID and passport. But under my experience, when I was a child, I didn't have the right to choose to be a boy or a girl. And I didn't have the right to refuse being a boy. I didn't have the right to refuse genital surgeries. And then until later, I didn't have the right to refuse the genital surgeries again. And also I cannot refuse to be a woman. So maybe this is a short story to talking about it. And yes, this is my story. Maybe it is not just my story. I meet so many intersex people. They also experience so much genital surgery since the childhood. Like me, it is so dramatic. From United Nations, since 2015, United Nations, the Human Rights Council, have been identified that kind of non-consent genital surgeries is torture. So United Nations asked all countries need to urgently stop and prohibit that kind of the medical intervention and the genital surgeries for all the intersex children.
It's a lot. It's really a lot. I'm deeply touched by you being willing to tell your story, which is so hard and which I can only imagine what you had to go through all of this. What was happening inside you?
Sometimes I just can answer, I'm trying to live every day, to still alive every day. I cannot imagine what will be in the next day in the future, and I tried to not remember what happened when I was a childhood in the hospital. I have a series of diary. I write the diary every day when I was in hospital. I write down today, they try to do something, and the next day they try to ask me something. Until now, that diary is covered with the dust. I never to open it again to watch it, and I cannot remember most of the memory in this period. I think this is a way my subconscious to protect myself. So I don't know, am I ready to open it again? But sometimes when I need to stand on the stage to speak with the students or United Nations, the officer, or the government, the officer, I try to remember some key memory to tell them, because I think I don't need to talk all my history or my experience. They don't need to listen all, and they will not tolerate. They cannot accept all the story. I still remember one time when I speak to a classroom of the students to share my story. When I just talk in the middle time, a boy just stand up and run away. And after the sharing class, the teacher go out to ask him, hey, how are you? Why you suddenly go out? He answer, he cannot listen again, continue. It is too dramatic for him. So after that time, I think maybe I need to modify my speak. Don't speak it too clearly, because may not all the boy or the man, when they try to imagine what I experienced, for them they cannot to take in their mind. But I need to speak. I need to tell the doctors, the medical system, the parents, and the government. Why you still continue to bring your intersex baby to the surgeries if they will never succeed? We say, I am a Chinese medicine practitioner, same as a doctor. The first principle, we are trying to do no harm to our patients. If we cannot make sure our treatment is benefit for them, we need to stop. But why the medical system, they still all the days, day by day, bring the intersex baby on the genital surgery table? They don't need it.
I think that it's amazing what you are doing, and this is so important because, as I told you, as we were coming here, we hear about the I, and people know what the I stands for, but there are still not many stories where people can really connect. And this is why I think that this is such an important thing, what you do, where you're willing to tell your story, that people can connect to how troubling this is for intersex children and people through their life. You never had the choice. Do you even have like the capacity after everything that happened to know who you are and what you would choose to identify as?
Absolutely, this is a very long journey for me to find out who I am. Maybe I would say what I am. When I was a child, my parents told me, you are a boy. But when I went to the toilet, when I see the boy, they are standing up to pee. But I can't. When I went to the toilet to pee, the position same as the girls. So why I am a boy? I don't know, but they told me, my parents told me, my doctor told me, my teachers told me, you are a boy, you are a boy, you are a boy, you are illness boy, you are illness boy. Okay, fine, I am a illness boy. It's something look like same as hypnotized. They're asking me being a boy, so okay, fine, I'm a boy, I'm an illness boy, but I cannot perform as a boy, so I need to learn. I take a look at a boy, how their body language, how they speak. Or they speak, fracture. Or I learn it, they fight. Okay, I learn to fight. Try to perform as a boy. Then they told me, and you are not a boy, you are not a man. You are not an illness man. You are intersex. When they find that the uterus inside my body. And then I think, I really is not a human. I'm a monster. Maybe I come from another planet. And then when they cut all my male part, then I got a female ID. I so worry about, do I need to learn again to be in another gender role, to be in a woman? So I look at other women, do they do that? But I see, not all the women do that.
Yeah.
So how can I learn? I think that learn from a man is more easy than learn from a woman. Because now the woman may be more feminine, maybe more masculine. They feel free to do that. As the men still have a stereotype. Mostly you need to more masculine being a man. So if I perform as a masculine, that's been seen, yes, you are a man.
Yeah.
But if I learn to be a woman, what kind of woman I need to learn? I don't know. I feel very confused and feel very worried about it. But then sometimes some people told me, hey, Small, now you are being a woman, you being well. I think about, I didn't perform just this time, you see. I'm just being myself. You say you're being a woman. Okay, and then I find out that when I'm being myself, on the eyes of other people, they seem this is a woman. So this, for me, I'm not being a woman. I just being myself.
Yeah.
But they agree this is a woman. Okay, I think fine. So I don't need to learn again. I just be myself to be a woman. But and then I find out that my body is an intersex body between man and woman. I don't need to try to force myself to perform as anyone. I just be myself. Whatever my body, whatever my mindset, whatever my dressing or my body language, I just being someone I feel comfort. It's okay. This is the love for myself.
Yes.
So now I will say, I'm intersex in front of the camera. Or I will introduce myself to you. Hey, guy, I'm intersex in here because it is an inclusive group.
Yes.
But if I go to the society, they have been read my story on TV or newspaper, I will introduce myself. I am an intersex woman. If I went to another country, they may not know my story. I will introduce myself. Hey, I'm a woman. I'm small. It depends who I am connecting. Now I well accept, yes, I'm intersex people. But I feel a little bit sad because my original genitals have been damaged. It is not totally myself now, but I try to love myself.
Very inspirational. Thank you so much. And I hope that your work will actually save other children from this suffering, because that's kind of what we are trying in our work, to lower the suffering for the generations that come behind us. Tell me, how is your relationship with your parents? How are your parents taking your self-acceptance and that you are a woman?
When I changed to be a woman, at the beginning, I didn't tell my parents. I just tell them because the health status, so I need to have surgeries again. And then I find a chance to tell them in the surgeries, the male parts have been removed. My father do not accept. From his thinking, he thought I was betrayed for him because I'm being the next generation for the family system. So when I changed to a woman, so he feel a betrayal for him. And after years later, he passed away. Before he passed away, he didn't forgive me to betray him. And when my father passed away, my mom a little bit changed. Especially when I told my mom, in the world, not just your kid is in the intersex status, there still have so many other family have the intersex baby. They also experienced the same suffering as me in the past. So my mom feel, oh my God, why in the world have these things happening? So every time when I go out to do something meaningful and benefit for other intersex children, I will go back to report for her and tell my mom, now we are going to do something to protect the children will not experience the same suffering as me. And she say, yes, please you go. So now she well accept I'm a woman. She have a daughter. She has an intersex daughter. But I think I agree she is difficult to introduce me to the relative persons. Her son now being a woman. So when I went back to my mom, if I know that's just she and the domestic worker, I will be myself right now.
Yeah.
But if I know that maybe some of the festival or as for example the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year, when I go back to the home of my mom, maybe other friends or other relatives will be there. I will try to performs back to a man. Hey, guy, you're here, welcome. Something like that to decrease the trouble, to make for my mom to answer, hey, why your boy now is a woman? I think it is difficult for her.
Yeah.
But now I thank God. My mom also believes Jesus. Well, accept now what I'm doing and my new gender role. But I told her, I still your child. I didn't change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sometimes hard for people to understand. Like it's you.
Yeah, it's still
Nothing
me.
changed. Yeah, that's.
I didn't change.
I like how you said when you said not who I am, what I am, because this is not who you are. It doesn't define you as a person, which is I'm getting goosebumps. Yes, thank you. Well, I don't know what to say because I'm just I'm deeply touched by what you are sharing. So you are doing a lot of advocacy work for intersex people. What do you see has changed?
Yes, we find some changing on the world, but not yet enough. We hope to do more, but at least we are trying.
Yes.
We are starting the step. At the first, we are asking stop all the genital surgeries without consent, without any urgency case, because the surgeries, when done, it cannot reverse. And I always ask the parents and the daughters, how do you know this child, when they grow up, will accept the gender you modify now? This is half and half chance.
Yeah.
You think they may be good to being a boy grow up.
Yeah.
But if then when they grow up they think they don't agree with it.
Yeah.
It is a very dramatic situation.
Yes.
And then they need to ask the government to do the surgeries again.
Yeah.
To transgender.
Yeah.
We don't need it. So it is a very like a gambling. When you're trying to love your children, to help them to fix the problem, you may be totally fail in the choice. Like a gambling, then you're just putting the money on the sea. But now you are not putting the money, you're putting your child on a very damaged life. So stop all the genital surgeries is the first very key voice we are asking the government, the medical system, the parents. This is where insist we must do it. And the second, we are asking about the ID system, the gender system. If the world like to more inclusive, if they allow have a male M, female F, and then some country now they allow have X for the non-binary, and do they have more mercy to give us an I?
Yes.
To let us to choice. Maybe I like to be same as now, I'm intersex female, but maybe other intersex people, they will have another gender identity. So we hope the ID system can have more inclusive modification. But we hope in the very, very future, no gender identity need to show on our ID or passport. We are just a human. We are in the world.
Yes.
It will be best.
Yes.
And Another many works we are doing, like lobby United Nations, more intervene and wow United Nations to lobby all the government to stop the genital surgery, to modify the ID system, to lobby WHO. You know, WHO is the higher organization of all the medical system. They make the definition of the illness. Now we, the intersex people, under their code of the illness, we are the disorders of sex development. We are the disorders. So all the doctors or the medical system, they will think, okay, yes, this is a disorder patients. We have the responsibility to take care of them, to fix their problem, to help them to treat. They think they are doing the best for us, but we don't agree it. So we are asking, we direct connect with WHO, and also we go to the United Nations and ask the United Nations help us to lobby together. The WHO, please, you modify your definitions for us, the intersex people. We will agree we are the difference of sex development. We will agree we are the variations of sex development. But we don't agree we are the disorders. We are not. If you don't damage my body, I will be very healthy and happy all my life, and also I can contribute to the society as you all. Why you need to make me damage? And so much the target group we are trying to reach out, the education system. We hope the education system can teach the children all around the world. We have the men, we have the women, we have the trans people, we have the intersex people. You just give them love and make friends with them from the kindergarten. This is a very good change to the world in the future. And when they meet some of the intersex people in school, they know how to care, how to support. So the education system is one of our target group. And psychologist, social work, counselor is another group. Maybe when some of the intersex people, they meet the difficult, they need the counseling or support, they will go to them, ask for the help. They know how to help us. And so many kind, the medical system, the nurse, the ambulance, the first aid, they need to know when they meet a patient, it's the intersex people, how to call, how to pronounce, how to keep their privacy. And the police.
And also maybe how to support the parents and make them understand that it's something that is part of being a human being.
And the police and the army and the immigration staff. When someone go through, when they catch someone, can they do something more respectful? We need it. And the church. This is why now I'm here. All my belief, church, getting the love from God, from Jesus. And this is the responsibility, church, to take care of the minority. Intersex is some of the minority. I know so many intersex people, they believe Jesus in the church, but they didn't to come out. They worry about when I come out, how the church will deal with. On my stories, when at this time I didn't come out. I started my church life since I was 12 years old. But I left the church when I was 23 years old. I didn't know yet I was an intersex people. I'm an intersex people, but my genital part is different. They know it. When we grow up, I found that they do not accept me as a normal man. they encourage the sisters in the church, don't close to that guy. And they warn me, don't make parallel with women. You will make them worry in their life because you are not a normal man. And then I found that the church cannot accept abnormal people.
Yeah.
So I leave church, but I didn't leave my God.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to lobby the church. Please accept. You accept the LGBT people. Please accept the intersex people too, and stand up to stand with us. Some of the church, some of the leaders, they told the parents of the intersex, they tell the parents, your child have that body is because that's the results from the sin. So you need to bring your baby to the genital surgeries to help that children to ask the forgiving from God.
Yeah.
I will say it is totally wrong from the Bible. Our sin have been forgiven from our Christ on the cross. We don't need to do anything again. So we are just a human. We are just getting something variations. We don't need to ask for any forgiving on our body.
Yes, yes. Isn't it sad to think that the church is so scared of committing sin that they're actually committing a huge sin by harming all these children?
In Hong Kong, one of the Christian organizations, he say to the people, he direct point to my name, small, is a sinner in Hong Kong, just standing there. Absolutely, I didn't talk anything about church to complain. I just stand there to ask the parents, protect your children, and then they told the people, this is a sin guy. This is because they do not allow not a man or a woman standing there because Bible didn't help them. So I would try to challenge them. Do you know the first human, Adam, he is the intersex.
Yes. Yes.
Before God divided him to be a man and a woman.
Yes.
At original Adam is the intersex.
Yes, I have to applaud to that.
Yeah, and some people just told me one time in a seminar after she come to me and told me, hey, do you think about Jesus is an intersex? I go, why you say it? And she told me, Jesus born from Maria. If she didn't have a sex with a man and get a baby, Maria did not get a white gene from a man. So if she didn't get a white gene from a man to the baby, that baby don't have a white gene in his body, in our Jesus body. If Jesus did not have the white genes, she just have maybe two kinds of human. Jesus is a woman, not a man, not the son of God. She is the daughter of God. She lie to the world. She tell lie to the world. She is not a man. But another probability is Jesus is intersex.
I love that story. I love this.
This is we just imagine. We don't know.
Yes,
rather
of course.
we find the DNA of Jesus to check about it. But maybe when we arrive heaven, we know the answer.
Yeah. But actually it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm just so proud that you're reclaiming something that is taken from you. And you have the right to do that.
We need to find the reason to continue my life.
Yes.
If I just stuck on my traumatic history, I will every day going to suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not allow myself to do that, and my law do not allow me to do that.
Mm.
So if I cannot go to die now, so I need to do the things I need to do from God. He asked me to protect other intersex children. And the second, I need to take care of myself well.
I'm so glad that you decided that. I really sincerely hope that I'm first of all thinking that maybe intersex young people, youth, or even grown-ups will see this interview with you. What message would you give to those viewers and listeners who are intersex?
Maybe you are facing some difficult in your life or in your history, her story, but don't give up. I may not be in a good model, but at least now I'm 57 years old. I try my best, living well every day, enjoy the life, and try my best to contribute to the society. So I have the success on my career. Every day I take care of my patients, and they say good for me. You can do this also. Don't give up your life. Don't do anything to hurt yourself. Trying to love yourself more. You can do that.
And, you know, I really hope that other people will also, that we have, of course, viewers who are not intersex, and maybe also some parents who have an intersex child. What would you tell those parents and the other people? What can they do to make life so much better for intersex children and people?
I have some words to the parents. If you got the intersex baby, please love the baby, love your child as they are. They are perfect. They don't need any surgeries. Honestly, if they get some illness, you need to bring them to the doctor for that illness, but it is not associated with the genital part. Why you got a cold hatchy and then you need to bring your baby to take medicine for your cold and also for genital surgeries? It is not associated. Just take care of them as your love baby. It is very good. And for the other people, I will ask all the people, you can do a little things for us. Maybe some kind of this, you don't need to make this sign for you to use, but if you like to do that, it's very good. Maybe you just make a good sentence to be an announcement to say, I know what is intersex. I take care intersex, or I concern intersex. Why I ask you to do that? Because you are doing an announcement. You well known about intersex. And if in your family system, in your friends group, if some intersex people hide inside, one day if they meet some difficult, when they don't know who can help them, they will remember you have made this announcement. They will come to you to ask support, ask your prayer. Maybe you will save a life before they attempt suicide. So please help us. And also, if you make this announcement, you are helping us to educate the society. It's a great job for us. Thank you.
We came to the end of the interview, but is there anything I haven't asked you and you think it's really important to mention before we close this interview?
Jesus and our Godfather, Godmother love all the human, include intersex, include all the human being, LGBTIQ. So don't worry about who you are, who I am. We include in the love of God. Thank you.
Dear small Luke, thank you so much for being my guest, for enlightening us and being so vulnerable in telling your story. Thank you for turning your pain into something beautiful for this world and for the next generations. I'm really, truly, deeply touched and inspired by everything you shared, said, and by what you were doing. So, yes, in the beginning you said thank you for making this interview, but I am so thankful, and I still can't believe that I had the honor to talk to you.
This is my honor.
And
thanks so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, dear viewers and listeners, for being with us. You heard small Luke. I think that this topic is so important, so please share this podcast with other people, that they would find out about intersex people and that we would create a better place together for intersex people that are still experiencing so much discrimination, fear, and, as we heard, surgeries without their consent. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. As I said in the beginning, this podcast was made in partnership with the European Forum of LGBT Christian Groups. It is also part of the Let Us Be Heard series, sponsored by HMS. Be with us next time, and don't forget to check out the links. There will also be a link to your Facebook page and to your organization webpage. And if you have anything else, I will also add it down there. See you next time. Thank you, and bye everyone. Bye, Small.
Bye-bye.